It has been a while, like more than a week. I really apologize. I wanted to get some stuff up before I left for my vacation, but it did not happen. But here I am. I am back in sunny, cold New England after spending 3.25 days in sunny, warm, humid Florida where the temperatures were in the 80s Fahrenheit every day. I miss it already, but I do have some things to show you that I picked up on the trip. It was not necessarily a vacation. I was looking at some places to move to, as I do want to relocate to Florida in the next couple of years. So I got some good suggestions from friends and family while I was down there. I checked out some of the sites. I went for some walks. I did some driving. I got myself stuck in traffic. I got myself lost on the way back to Tampa International Airport. But I did get some things because, when I go anywhere, whether it's on vacation or just out and about, if I have the opportunity to do some game hunting, I'm going to do it. And why not go to places where I've never, ever been before just to kind of check them out? So the first pair of things I'm going to show you are from a store called VNC Collectibles, which is, I believe, in Brandon, Florida. This is a smaller store. It is not very large, but the amount of stuff in there was really quite impressive. They had a lot of comic book related things. They had an entire section of the store. In fact, one side of the store is really dedicated to pop culture from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. There were also some heavy metal albums as well, a lot of vinyl, which is really cool, some comic stuff, and of course there were some video games. I saw some interesting things. I saw a sealed copy of QIX for the NES, which I did pass on. I saw a Virtual Boy, which I really wanted, but I wasn't able to get because I was going to be flying 1,100 miles. But I did get a couple of Genesis games that I didn't have in my library that I thought were pretty fairly priced. The first one of these that I got is, and I'll show it to you here, it is Burning Force for the Genesis. And yeah, I paid $17 for this. Now, I remember seeing this in a GameSack episode. I've seen magazine advertisements for this game. The thing that really drew me is the Namco logo right there. I am a Namco fan, so I had to get this to kind of check it out. I have not had a chance to try it yet. I came home really late Thursday night. I did some running around yesterday and then slept a lot of yesterday when I was home. So now I'm less than 36 hours back here in New England, and I'm finally getting ready to be able to play some games again. So I'll definitely have to check this out. Paid $17 for this, which I think is fair. I believe that the price charting price is right around $20. So if you're paying $3 less than market, you're doing something right. The other game that I got from VNG Collectible or VNC Collectibles, I should say, is Rolling Thunder 2. This guy right here, and yes, it's another Namco game. Now, full disclosure, I am terrible at the original Rolling Thunder in arcades. I was never very good at it. Even playing the Rolling Thunder kind of game from Capcom called Codename Viper, not very good at that either. But this, for whatever reason, maybe it was the Namco name, maybe it was just because it was in the locked cabinet and it was kind of staring at me. It was something that I thought that I had to get. So I did get it. I think this goes for $25 on the open market. So again, I'm getting $5 less. Why not grab these? If you're in the Tampa area and you're in the Brandon area, I do recommend this store wholeheartedly. The staff is super nice. They're pretty active on Facebook as well. And it's a fun place to check out, especially if you're just a fan of collectibles in general. There is a lot of stuff to see there. Then the next day, I went to Riverview, Florida, which is kind of close by. And when I went there, I stopped into a place called the Toy Addict after failing to find a place called the Game Asylum, which I looked for and I didn't find it. Turns out that I didn't look deep enough in the certain shopping plaza that it was in. But anyway, I stopped at the Toy Addict, and wow, I stopped in at the right time because as I was coming in, there was a woman who was bringing in a bunch of things for trade, and one of the things she was bringing in that they were testing at the time I was there was a pretty much brand new Sega CD Model 2 that they were testing. In listening to this thing run, it was whisper quiet. You could not hear a pin drop, or you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. They were testing out Vey for the Sega CD, a game that I thought about getting and then I thought better of. But the thing worked like a charm. Unfortunately, they were in the middle of processing it for trade. And again, because I was traveling, I didn't want to get a piece of hardware to have to transport it all the way home. But that was a really cool find. They had a lot of great stuff in there, a lot of strategy guides, games from the NES on up, accessories, console systems, you name it, they had it. And I picked up three things from there, and they're all long box games. So the first one, and again, we're keeping with the Namco theme here, is the long box version of Air Combat, which is right here. And I did pay $15 for this. The case is in great shape. The only thing that's missing in here as I open this up is that the foam insert is not here. I'm going to show you here in just a second, as long as I don't tip it over. There we go. So that's what it looks like on the inside. What the manager told me was that they take the foam inserts out because not all of the higher value games have the inserts in, so they want to make those as complete as possible, which I completely understand. This was a game that I wanted to get merely because I had the greatest hits version of this. I did not have an original 1995/96 copy of this, and I wanted to have one, considering I'm such a big fan of the Air/Ace Combat series. So this was an easy get for $15. The case, as you can see, it's in great shape. There are no cracks at all. The spine is in good shape. The case, even though it's plastic, was well cared for, so there's no cracks. It opens up just fine. It's a really, really great find. I was very happy to find that. Speaking of Namco, another game that I picked up is a copy of Tekken right here, another long box copy from 95. This one, unlike the plastic, is the cardboard version, and this does have the insert in it, and I'll show you here in just a moment. Let's see if I can get this right. So that's what the inside looks like right there. We also have, and one of the things I thought was pretty fascinating, is there is a Namco guide in here that shows the other games that were coming out for the PlayStation. Games like, and they actually show them all right here. Ridge Racer, of course. Air Combat, which I did get. Let's see what else is in here. Tekken, which obviously is this one. Cyber Sled, which I already have. Unfortunately, the case is a little beat up, but I have this one already. And this was the one that hurt, and I almost bit. It was expensive. It was $85, I believe, but the case was in kind of bad shape. This is Starblade Alpha right here, and I do have this loose. Unfortunately, the case, like I said, just not in good enough shape for me to want to spring that much money. But I thought about it. I sure did think about it. This, of course, is an arcade game that was ported to the Sega CD and then later the PlayStation, and I enjoy it. I have fun with it, even though it is straight up arcade. There aren't a lot of additions other than, of course, the PlayStation version looking a little bit better in terms of graphics, but it's still the same game through and through. And then on the inside here, I thought this was pretty neat. You can't anymore, but you can send in for a free couple of copies of Next Generation magazine, which is one of my favorite magazines of the time period. And there's some more advertising for Namco there. So this was a cool find. I have a copy of Tekken, but the game disc was not in great shape. I have tried to get a decent copy of Tekken for a long time. And this not only is a long box Tekken that I have here, but the disc is also like immaculate. So I'm looking forward to playing Tekken and sucking at it because I'm not very good at it at all. All right. And the last game that I'm going to show is the one that I paid a fair amount of money for, possibly a little bit more than market value, but again, because of the condition of the game and because I didn't have it complete, I was willing to pay more. This was my big spend for the entire week. This is Jumping Flash right here, and yes, that is the price up there. I paid $65 for this. This is a complete copy of the game. The case is immaculate. Here's the back of the case here, talking Vertigo, go. This is one of my favorite launch window games for the original PlayStation. I talk about it all the time. I hold this in higher regard than Mario 64, which drives people nuts. But it's the way I feel. I like playing this. I will play this 10 times out of 10 over Mario 64. It is a much more focused game. It's still a 3D platformer. The sense of height is pretty scary, especially in the later levels. And it's just a lot of fun to play. It doesn't take itself seriously. The music is great. The graphics maybe struggle a little bit now as opposed to then, but I really don't have an issue with that. When we open this up, and this is why I got this, friends, when we open this up, the case, again, is immaculate. We do have, as I open this and try not to let things fall out, we do have the foam insert on the inside, so we know this is in good shape. The disc is, and I will try and show it to you on camera here. Man, please don't drop it. I mean, the disc is immaculate. It looks like this is so well taken care of. And as we take a look at the manual here, just really quick, I mean, the manual is really in good shape. Not a lot of waves or wrinkling. It still has the warranty card, and I've talked about warranty cards on this show before. It is in black and white. It's not like the greatest looking manual or anything, but I always like these manuals. And to be honest, I am a fan of long box PlayStation games, even though they're an obvious waste of space, and you could do the same with a regular CD case. The manuals are much bigger, much easier to read, and buying these games I thought just felt like an event, whereas buying a CD game just feels like buying a CD game. So I'm always going to have a soft spot for these long box games. I have quite a few of them. I think I have 20 or 25. So it's nice to have these long box games. And these are all from 1995, which again is launch window era for the PlayStation. I also want to show you one more thing I got in Florida, and this doesn't really make it an unsealed episode, but it's something I want to show off nonetheless because this is a throwback to my childhood. This is a yes and no book, an invisible ink book. These things, when I was a kid, and I'm talking back in 1980, 81, 82, maybe even a little sooner, a little earlier than that, these were big when I would go on trips. My paternal grandmother would buy these for me to keep me busy when we had trips or when it was raining outside and I couldn't go outside and play, or if it was snowing or whatever, and I would play the heck out of these. This invisible ink pen would cross off things or make things appear inside the book, and you could do things like tic-tac-toe, baseball, trivia. There's a football game in here, bingo. There were all kinds of different games that you could play. And seeing this brand new like this, re-released, because this has like a Facebook logo and a website on it. So this obviously is a newer release, but I thought that this was a really cool find. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this up and just take a look at some of the things on the inside. And I got to remember not to lose the pen, because if I lose the pen, then everything is all done. So that's the pen right there. And the book is 48 pages long and comes with a cardboard insert, so you would have something to write on. So there we go. Here's the cardboard insert. They always put it like toward the back, like this. And there are just so many different things to do. Crazy grams. I'll show you that one right here. It's almost like a rebus kind of puzzle, or like a word picture puzzle, which I thought was pretty neat. Who are your relatives? Know your states. I mean, these are all just between trivia and the different games you could play in here. This would keep you busy for hours. There's tic-tac-toe you could play right there. These games were a lifesaver back before I had video games of my own. When I would stay with my paternal grandmother, and again, to bring her up again, just because she was such a driving force in my childhood, these things would come in so handy when I was bored. We didn't have video games at her house. And this was before the Nintendo was a thing, and my grandmother really didn't have room for an Atari 2600 or anything like that. So this was as close to video games as I would get, and I would play these. I would scratch away at these for hours and hours and hours. I used to have dozens of these to take on camping trips or to play at her house or wherever the case was. And this was such a neat find that I had to share it with you and open it up. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play this on the plane on the way back as I was intending to. I wound up playing games on my 3DS instead. So that's what I got down in Florida. In terms of when I'm going to be moving, like I said, it's going to be a couple of years. I do have some really strong leads as to where I want to go. It may be a little bit farther south from the Tampa area than I was expecting, looking at some of the job opportunities and what relates to what I do. But nonetheless, it's going to take some time. I have some money to save up and some plans to make. But the Florida move looks more and more likely, and I'm certainly excited about that to get away from all of the snow and winter stuff here in New England. So that's what I got while I was on vacation. Look for a brand new episode of Unsealed very, very shortly, as in this weekend. And until that episode comes, thanks for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you later.